Okay, what I love about this example is that it really highlights the different phases in a messaging process. At one point in this message, it's very negative, very disinterested. Then it goes to a very like marginal sort of conversational tone, which a lot of guys have trouble with getting through that to moving forward to the close. And then it has the actual close and the phone number. So it has a little bit of everything. It's a great example. It's not like there's a bunch of huge like massively crazy things that I do, but it's a very good example of how to handle all the different stages and how to move something along. So this is an incredibly good example to learn from. In this case, my first message, and this is a message that I mentioned in the chapter on first messages, is you had admit your impeccable spelling and correct use of grammar. Now, as I mentioned there, this is very multi-purpose. If her grammar is very good, then she can take pride in it and be happy and respond positively. And usually, those are the ones that will really respond well to this. But even if the grammar is bad, sometimes you'll be like, are you kidding? Are you messing with me? Why are you teasing me? Are you being a jerk? That kind of thing. And then you can turn those around. So it is a message you can send without looking at the profile. Although if you want to look briefly, you can kind of just gauge, when it looks like she has a stick up her ass and like is getting every every participle not hanging or whatever the hell the grammar thing is that you do. If her grammar is really good, that makes this a pretty good one in general. Her response is, you are not my type, but thank you. Obviously not a very good response, but again, we'll treat it as a shit test. It's not even a shit test really, it's like fuck off is what it is, but we're gonna sort of misinterpret it as a shit test and then misinterpret the shit test some more. But so in this case, I'm going to treat it as though it's her way of saying, like, the door is open, impress me, as opposed to you are not my type, thank you. And so what I say here is I try and qualify myself. I tell her why I am her type, but in a way that's not try hard, because I say it's not try hard, even though it is. Listen, here's how it goes. Fair enough. Successful, witty, attractive men with ambition, excellent physiques aren't for everyone. Best of luck in your search. So basically, I'm throwing up a Hail Mary. I'm in a very bad situation. Not a lot's going to work. So I try and throw something out there just to get a different response to work with. I try and use a little bit of social courtesy, a little bit of acting like I gave up to get a different kind of message. And then from that other kind of message, hopefully I'll be able to move it forward. So let's see how it worked. So here she now says, based on what you have written about yourself, it seems like you are after one thing and one thing only. Though I do find it entertaining and respect your honesty, I don't think we're on the same page. Good luck in your search as well. I'm sure you'll find a real winner, winky face. So this is great. So instead of some vague, no thanks, not interested, I don't think we'd work, now I have a specific objection to work with. Specific objection is always much, much easier to work with because you can pass the shit test, you can even deal with it logically sometimes, etc. It's much better. You want to elicit a specific rejection. If you're getting a vague general rejection, at the very least, make them get specific because the specific you can handle. The vague in general, you can't really deal with, okay? So you actually deal with this on the issues. So in this case, it sounds like you're after one thing and one thing only. Well, it sounds like, I'm after just sex. So what do I want to convince her of? Number one, I like to convince her that there's more on the table than just sex. But number two, I'd like to treat the whole thing as not that serious and not that outcome between it, more fun and flirtatious. So here's what I say. Haha, you're right. I am after one thing only, perfection and love. Oh, wait, that's two things. Okay? So I'm saying that I'm not just after sex without actually saying it. I don't like directly say, no, I'm not just after sex. I don't get defensive. I don't get like I'm trying too hard to sell myself to her. Again, remember this idea that you don't want to sell yourself. You don't want to be defensive. You want to keep it light and funny. And you want to change her mood, not her mind. You don't want to attack it logically. Okay, so you're right. I'm after one thing and only one thing. Again, you're right. Gets her on the right page, on the right frame where she'll read the rest of the message. And it's not like you're trying to fight her. It's like jujitsu, right? It's like you're taking their force and using it against them instead of fighting force with force. So you're right. I'm after only one thing, perfection and love. Oh, wait, that's two things. So I undermine her idea of I'm just after sex. So then she now writes, very cute. As it turns out, I'm perfect and you love me. You just don't know it yet. Okay, so what happened here? This is awesome. So instead of her saying no thanks, not interested, not my type, etc., now she's doing what we call qualifying, right? She's qualifying to me. She is selling herself to me and putting me in the frame of the buyer. She's saying, I'm perfect and you love me. That's great. Now I'm in the position of deciding whether or not that's true. I'm in the position of her trying to impress me. So everything looks positive from here. Now I still have a long ways to go because she's like, it's very arrogant, right? And she's very, I'm perfect and you love me, i.e., I'm on a pedestal, you need to work for me. But it's much, much, much better than where it was coming from. And even if the content isn't as positive, the tone is very positive. So Given that the tone's a little bit positive, I decide to start to make plans. But again, soft close, not hard close. Hard close off this would be a disaster because it's only a light amount of interest off of a very, very negative start. So soft close is very, very important here. So what do? I say, well, when I figure it out, perhaps we should meet each other. Or is that how I'm going to figure it out? Okay, so again, I'm taking this idea that now I'm the buyer, she's the seller. She said, I'm perfect, you love me. She put herself in the seller frame. So I take that frame and I switch it from this idea of I'm on a pedestal and you love me to, oh, I'm deciding that, right? So that's very, very positive. And then I hint at the meetup, but I also make it a situation where she has to qualify herself. She has to jump through a hoop to get there, et cetera. So, and it's not like, let's meet up at this specific time. It's not, let's do this specific thing. It's not something that she has to agree to or disagree to. It's just me throwing it out and hinting to try and see how things go. So then she says, who knows with you? You're all over the place. I like that we're 10% enemies. What area do you live in? Jessica. Okay, now this is highly, highly positive, even though it sounds logical, okay? Who knows with you? You're all over the place. That's great. That's just filler. Whatever. I mean, it's a little bit of a shit test, but it's so minor. I'm not even going to deal with it. I'm just going to ignore it. I like that we're 10% enemies. What's she saying here? She's saying she looked on the site. This is OkCupid, where there's like enemy match percentage and that kind of stuff. And she said, I like that we're 10% enemies. That means I looked at your profile. That means I'm obsessing over this. That means I'm reading into you. That's good. She's putting time and energy and effort into me. That's good. And it also means I didn't really know what to say, so I'm saying whatever I can. And the next thing she says, what area do you live in? Whenever a girl asks you these logical questions, where do you live? How old are you? How tall are you? What do you do for a living? Those kind of things. You should treat that as her saying, I don't know what to say to you, but I want to keep this going. So it's all very positive. And the last positive, she gave her name. Right? So she's just grasping at straws what to say to me. She knows that she wants to talk to me. She feels a little overwhelmed, outwitted, and she doesn't know what to say. So she's just throwing this stuff out. So I take this as highly, highly positive and time to really up the closing process. So now again, I'm soft closing, so I'm not going to get specifics, but I'm going to suggest the type of date and move things forward. So I say, I live in Manhattan, and I'm here for a week and a half before my trip to Europe. Care to lubricate the banter with libation in the meantime? So basically, I'm just being pretty straightforward. I'm taking the vague general plans of getting together and sort of making them more specific, making them as specific as a potential drink. Because even though the interaction is fairly positive now, it's just logically positive. It's not, you're so great, I like you positive. So it's not crazy positive. So I feel like I need multi-steps in the close. And also it started off so badly. I really want to be careful of how I make it work. So being a little cautious with it, but I think it has good odds. So that's what I put out there. And she says, yes, call me and we'll make a plan. The good news is I don't do the whole dating thing either. That's a reference to my profile. It's so formal and I hate everyone. Phone number. Okay? So she hates everyone, but apparently she loves me. She gave me the number, even though at the very first she was not interested. So that's a great example of a turnaround, a great example of slowly going through the process and building that social capital over time where you go from not interested to here's my number. All right? Great example to learn from. You will get lots and lots of examples that mirror this. So learn from it.